Okay, welcome to the Infinite Ascension live stream. Back in the seat, the Rich and Niche YouTube channel. Hope you are having a great day or evening. If you're watching this live, tremendous. If you're watching on a replay, well, that's also tremendous because it might not even be available. So watch carefully, take notes, because we are diving deep into the 6 phases of freelance today. Expanding on what we already know, adding more detail, helping those who are getting started find their way. Let me know if you're out there. Hit me up in the chat so I can see you're alive. Drop a like on this stream. If we get up to, 25 likes, maybe we'll do some kind of a giveaway. I'll be surprised if you guys get there, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. You know what I'm saying? Well, welcome. On YouTube with this for the first time in a while, I've been running this Tuesday call on Zoom privately. I've been running it in my community at Rich and Niche very successfully, very happily. Love doing it. But what I don't like is being constrained with production. You know, if I want to go to a different screen, if I want to have different guests, if I want to use clips and sound effects, I think I should be able to. And a lot of those platforms just simply don't allow it. So we're going to try something. We're going to bring this show to YouTube. We're going to bring multiple live streams to YouTube. It looks like it really is such a powerful platform to base your content in. So I'm looking forward to doing that. You can expect to see me live more often, putting out some more shorts as highlights if you don't catch the live stream. And we have a lot planned for the coming quarters, we'll say, at Rich and Niche. We've done a lot. We've accomplished a lot in the last year. I've been pretty quiet because I've been silently building, as well as building human beings, mini clones of myself. Good to see you out there. Dex, Flashy, Amir, good to see you. Ahmed. Need to get my chat working on screen. Going to have to look into that. Nonetheless, we shouldn't waste any minutes. I'd love for this to be a tight stream, but let's see what happens. And let's take a look at our first, moment of production value, hopping over to some kind of a split screen. How useful. I'm going to be walking you through a pretty interesting document today, and I'm going to be able to give you that document at the end. Don't you worry. This will be available. I don't think it's ready. I think it's in beta, but it's going to be useful today. Don't worry. I'll bring it full screen when it's time to go. This is the digital marketing career path checklist and milestones. We're going to be walking through quite an extensive list. I'd say it looks like it's about 40 to 60 points on this checklist. It's a career. I hope it's extensive. I wouldn't want to have a boring, simple career. Well, let's take a look. This checklist is a comprehensive roadmap for someone looking to start and grow a successful career in digital marketing. Let's zoom in. We don't even need that right-hand side really right now, but we'll take it. So at a high level, maybe draw your eye to the right side. At a high level, with phase 1, skills. Yeah, that's pretty sensible phase 1. Phase 2, activation. Phase 3, apprentice. Phase 4, client acquisition. Phase 5, mastery. And phase 6, growth. So that's the 6 phases I'm going to go over today, and I'm going to show you why all these points of interest are here and some milestones you can use to check in on yourself to see if you are progressing. Now, I know it's a bit of a dense document, but you come here to learn. You come here to figure something out. We want it to be all on one page. Let's go over phase one skills. Let's keep it brief. If you have questions, throw them in the chat. Happily, we'll answer them. The first thing that most digital marketers set out on is web pages. This is the idea of understanding how to create and manage a web page, which means HTML, CSS, but in the modern day, more so WordPress. Some of you might know Webflow, Wix, Squarespace, and some of the more other dedicated tools for marketers, such as Go High Level, System.io, many others. This is an emerging space. You know, we've come so far when it comes to web pages. Somewhat 20 years ago, we had GeoCities and AngelFire and these companies that would let us build very, very simple web pages. We kind of had MySpace. That was kind of a web page, right? We don't really consider social profiles web pages as much anymore. But it's critical to learn web pages. Here it says it's the basis for all online presence. That's a very fair thing to say. So you really want to get a sense of what is WordPress. We might want to add that here. I'm going to add a few notes as I go along. You don't have to study HTML. You don't have to study CSS, which stands for Cascading Style Sheets, which is a way of making your website look consistent. But those would be valuable things to potentially learn. I bet you a lot of marketers don't know the actual coding languages, but at least understand how these operate. If you could write 3 to 5 basic lines of each, you're probably well on your way because almost everything can be looked up. Welcome to all the viewers out there. Thanks for stopping by. Today I'm going over the 6 phases of freelance. Okay, next one, after you get web pages, now that you know web pages, you can venture into SEO, which is about driving organic traffic to a website. It's about making your website visible. How do I turn that off? Wish I could turn that off with a one click. So SEO is a fantastic skill to understand because really what you start to learn about is how people use keywords. And keywords are everywhere. Keywords are anywhere you have a search bar. SEO is anywhere you have a search bar. SEO is understanding that when there's many things to look at in a database, millions of web pages, for instance, you have to rank those in a certain way. And once you understand how they're ranked, you can sort of game the system. And that's what SEO really is. And over time, Google has tried to make SEO as wholesome as possible, but still there remains a lot of tactical things you can do. And this means you can get traffic to any website. And so if you can make a website and you can get any traffic to it, you know, you're in a great position. You're doing something many, many people cannot do. The next thing on the list is content creation. You're just going to want to understand the 4 mediums: video, audio, text, and images, because content is the backbone of digital marketing. Everything really is content when you think about it. Email is content, SMS is content, web pages are content, ads are content, YouTube is content, this is content. So right now I'm showing you I know how to use video in live stream format, and I know how to use text on the screen, right? You want to use as many as possible. The best way to do that is to start making stuff. And you don't have to make stuff that everyone knows about. You're free to keep it private. You're free to build quietly and silently, you know, and just hone your craft. It's tricky. You know, I noticed on TikTok recently, like a lot of people I kind of know were showing up on my feed, and I'm not really interested, but I do kind of know them in real life for whatever reason. I think it was maybe a WhatsApp contact or something. I know people don't really like that, especially when they're starting out. Not much you can do about it. I know in Instagram, you can go and log in on the desktop app and you can uncheck something that says, share my profile with my contacts or something like that. Share my profile with recommended people. That's one thing you can do, but you got to get started with creating things. So start a blog, start an email newsletter. Those two go hand in hand. Start a video channel, start shorts, start a podcast. Those are all great ideas. I started many channels. I was just logging into one of my YouTube channels and I noticed I had like 12 channels there. Most of them I don't use, but I was dabbling. I made all sorts of different types of videos just to learn and try. So you have all these channels that you can just use to practice. The next thing, once you're making content, is to just publish it to get as much reach as possible. And that's sort of a promotional skill. It's useful, certainly, but it can really take people out of their authentic self. You know, trying to do things for the sake of reach. It's understandable, but it's a bit of a challenge. What do you think? Definitely something, though, that you need to hone in on, you know, whether it's using hashtags or keywords, whether it's posting at the right time, whether it's using the most popular formats, whether it's creating native content directly for that channel. These 4 skills really make up the heart of the beginning digital marketer. Blogging and making pictures and videos, putting them on social media. You want to become sort of a next level. You want to start getting into full stack. What that really means is I can attract people with the front end of my website, and I have all this back end automation platform system that helps me sell things behind the website. That's what automated email does. It allows you to take your customer outside of the internet or outside of the web browser and just speak to them directly, sell them something through a link. It's very, very powerful. Many companies get 10, 20, 30% of their revenue from email alone. Automation means you're sending people emails when they want it on their schedule at any time of the day without fail. Automated emails is probably one of the most fantastical things to happen to our world in the sense of making sales easier. Instead of reaching out to people, their behavior can trigger an automation. Let's move to number 6, copywriting. Good copywriting persuades people to take action. It is important for sales and conversions. Certainly. The good news is it's easier than ever to do B-level copywriting thanks to AI. Very powerful in this area, very good enough in many cases, and better than most people who don't know what copywriting is. But I would certainly strive to understand what would be A-level copywriting, which is just more customized, more unique, more natural, more fun, more gripping. Okay, there's like professional writing, and then there's really persuasive, deep copywriting. It's tough to get that with AI. The way you learn copywriting is by practice. You can copy other people's copy by hand. That's often been recommended to try and train the brain, go slow through it. But all you can really do is put stuff out there. Run a Facebook ad, create a sales page, run a landing page. If you can get people to take action, it's working, right? If I create a web page and on that web page, it asks you to download something, but you have to enter your email and people are doing it, your copy's pretty good because that's the only thing people can see is your copy. Maybe a picture or two, but the copy could easily be slightly different and have completely different results that would lead to nothing, right? There might be unclear action. There could be a big error in user experience. So if you are able to get some conversions, you know you're on the right track. And it really helps to have some sort of, for me, I had a couple options. I had a couple blogs that I owned that I was slowly building and sometimes building fast. Writing a lot of articles all at once, 10 in a day sometimes. Rarely, but sometimes. And that allowed me to put a landing page on that website because that website was ranking in Google, getting all sorts of traffic. And if you have traffic, you can put a landing page in front of that traffic. And if you ask those people to do something, they just might do it if what you offer them on the landing page is very similar to the words that brought them there, to the blog or content that brought them there, to the keyword they searched. If you can get that coherence. And what is all this we're talking about? Is really funnel building, step-by-step user experience, guiding people through a buying process. Here, learn about it. Here's the details. Here's how you pay. Here's how you get it. Funnel building is elusive for people. It's hard to understand until you get into it. But once you get into it, it's pretty straightforward. The great thing about funnels is it helps everything else because the right message is applied at the right time by visualizing where the customer is at in the journey. Break it down. This is a consulting level skill. This is strategic. This is business game changing. So now you're really getting into the intermediate skills here, right? And as you're becoming a full stack marketer. And that's what it takes to be a freelancer. You can't just, you can have an offer and you can be very specific, but there's just so many different things that can shift, change. People could have a question. And sure, you don't need to know everything, but it's not impossible to learn the theory and fundamentals of everything. It may take some time to apply it and get experience in everything. But again, if you are able to build out your own projects, even the most simplest websites, you can test the same concepts. Even if you had 50 people on your website, you could still test the concepts. When I first launched Rich and Niche, nothing was automated. You don't have enough leads to worry about automation. And even more so, that's the time to really go hard when you're starting out. I was just noticing that I was sending Loom videos to every lead, whether they asked it for or not. And I was explaining them the program in person, just like this on a screen. Number 8, digital advertising. It's a little late in the stage, but makes sense as well. You don't want to spend too much time in digital advertising if you don't understand what a funnel is, if you don't know how to write copy, if you have no automated email set up. You really don't want to get into digital advertising. It's kind of like saying, I'm going to go race my car. I have no wheels and the windshield's cracked. Doesn't make sense, right? You would do those other things first. And I've been a big proponent of that. While everyone else was telling people how easy it is to run Facebook ads, and it is, the idea of Facebook ads is quite simple, ultimately. What's hard is building a machine ready to handle the traffic that comes from the Facebook ad. The Facebook ad only has a couple moving parts. A funnel has a decent amount of moving parts. So I do think digital advertising makes sense as a later stage skill. I think you're going to get so many more opportunities being competent and confident in organic. But I would strive to understand digital advertising, and I think for some of you it is right. If you have a sense of that, if you've already tasted and dabbled in it, maybe it is right for you. Wrapping up phase 1 is project management, because if you want to freelance, you're running projects. So you just have to get used to knowing how to build a project, meaning, okay, I have to choose all the tasks, list them out. Maybe there's a time limit. Maybe I have to work back from the time and say how many days left. For professionalism, it's pretty important. Not that hard to learn though. More about being disciplined and sticking with the system. It's not that hard to learn. It's especially if you have a tool like Notion, not that hard to learn. Google and Meta certificates. These are just useful. Why wouldn't you want to learn directly from the world's biggest platforms? It's kind of like as if banking just got popular and what is the name of a big bank? JP Morgan or something? And they're like, get a JP Morgan certification. It just kind of makes sense at the time that you would learn at very, very low cost directly from the people who are making these algorithmic based software platforms. Is there any other skill you can think of that I kind of forgot that we really should add? I mean, I'm sure there is some, but I'm not sure it's needed. Maybe you could find some. If you could share with me, that would be great. Now, I did make a note here that if you want to accelerate your learning, then I highly recommend my digital marketing masterclass, which was designed with that in mind. That, oh, there's a bunch of skills that I learned over my career. How do I transmit them all? Why would I want to give them all? Because that's what it means to be a full stack marketer. If I wanted, I could have just been an SEO guy, or I could have just been a copywriting guy, totally. But the truth is, in my career, I've done all these different things, and they all were necessary, and they're all interrelated. And to be a true pocket CMO, you have to have good confidence and competence around everything. And it's not that scary. Once you start talking marketing, it becomes second nature. Welcome to the call. Thanks for joining us on this live stream of 6 phases of freelance. We're just rounding out phase 1. If you've got a question for me, let me know. This is my first time running this call, Infinite Ascension, what I call it, on YouTube. Maybe I'll talk a little bit about the Academy and Infinite Ascension in a little bit. I'm going to finish up with the 6 phases first. So yeah, if you want to rapidly learn these skills from me and learn some really key ways to understand these things, I do think the masterclass is pretty terrific. And it really focuses on not just being a generalist, but knowing what is powerful and what integrates together. A generalist to me is more like, I know how to clean the bathroom, I know how to fix the light bulb, and I know how to put some WD-40 in the squeaky gate. Like, okay, you're a generalist handyman, great, but those things don't work together, right? If they all work together, is that really being a generalist, or is that building a fascinating business machine? That's what I think about it, right? Let's get into phase 2, because I think people don't have as much understanding beyond the skills. Okay, so the checklist is on the right. You can check it off. You can duplicate this file. I'll send it over in a little bit. Let me just get through a little bit more of it. Hang with me. This will eventually be on my website as well. Don't worry, I'll promote this a lot. I think this is going to be very useful for people. I'm really trying to use this call to get some insight on how I can improve this, right? Because people are going to download it. They're going to quickly review it. They're going to see where they're at, and then they're going to start working on it. I'd love to know by the end of this call, where are you at? We should really give a unique number to each, but it's okay to say phase 2, step 2 or something. And they are steps, right? This is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. It's not really like bounce around. It is try to deal with it. But here in activation, like we start off with mindset, right? You can learn any skill without a mindset, but to go have success in the modern world, you probably need some solid mindset. So the first one I think you need is money mindset. And I just think it's about understanding the value of the work we do and charging appropriately and making more money. And I think that we see a lot of people come in and never had much money themselves, never bought anything over $1,000, $2,000. And so the idea of selling something for $25,000 is a bit freaky to them. They struggle with that. And what they do is they lower their prices to where they're confident, but they start to attract a lower end clientele. The next mindset is the entrepreneurial mindset. And so this is about thinking creatively, taking initiative, and being willing to take risks, right? You're not going to get it right every time. You have to take risks. Okay, this is essential for your personal and business growth. Read a lot of books, get inspired. I mean, what does it mean to adopt a mindset? Can you just do it right now? Can you just flick the switch? Great. Is that real? I don't know, but do what you can. I don't know the secret to just having a mindset. I think when you learn a truth, when you learn something that really makes sense, sometimes it is just a flip of the switch, right? It is similar, but you really have to be comfortable with risk. Doesn't mean you're supposed to be losing. It's supposed to mean that you're making good assessed risk choices, right? So if you have 2 choices, one of them could lead you to $100,000 and the other one could lead you to $10 million. And the first one, you're 50% likely to get it. And the second one, You're 5% likely to get it. Which one should you do? Is there a right answer? Right? But ideally, you want to do the biggest things. And you want to keep playing until you win. It's okay if you lose sometimes, because you're going to win big once. It only takes once, right? To really get your life started, and then a lot of other things can change. So every choice has a likelihood of failure or a likelihood of success. Multiply that by the value of the opportunity you see to get the risk assessed value. So if it's a 100K opportunity, but 50% of the time it fails and you don't make anything, it's a $50,000 opportunity. 0.5 or 50% times 100K. Number 4, moving away from mindset. Now, if you're going to go out there and sell some services, be a freelancer, you're going to have to set up your business domain, your website address. You can't skip this. Then you're going to need some sort of hosting, because that's going to set up your business website. WordPress, fine. System or Go High Level, fine. Squarespace and Wix, not fine. Webflow, I'll let you decide whether that's fine for you or not. You don't just want a blank page. When you set up your business website, you should be going into it saying, I know what I want to sell. That's why I'm setting up this website. I'm going to be selling brand strategy, brand refresh. I'm going to be selling lead generation, pay per booked appointment. I'm going to be selling content packages, content strategy, like whatever it is, because your website and your domain should somewhat be relevant. Like, you don't want to be a content company and call yourself like Super Ads, or that's not a good example. You don't want to be an SEO company and call yourself Super Ads, right? That's what I mean. Try to get it in alignment. You need to set up your pricing here. Definitely want to start off probably pretty lower. I think I put introductory pricing down here as well. Yeah. You have to set a price. Even if you're not going to take that price, at least start thinking about that. You have to have some sense of a business model or a business plan, you know, like, what am I generally going to sell this at? How many clients would I need to achieve my goals? And then you need some basic marketing materials. Hey, that could be as little as like a cold email campaign, 4 basic emails. That might be all you have to start. You know, maybe you want to build a PDF that explains your services. Maybe you have a VSL, a video sales letter. So this is really more about setting yourself up and getting through these activities. If you want to accelerate phase 2, that's what we spend a lot of time doing in my full stack marketer lab. Talk about mindset a lot. We go through the whole business website setup process. I spend multiple weeks with you to improve your offer, your pricing, and we develop marketing materials in class for your business. You can really get through that one pretty quick, whether you're on your own or supported, to be honest. Okay, phase 3 is a little tougher. It's time to put some of these skills into play. You can't just sit on the sidelines. So I recommend 3 apprentice clients before you really worry about money. Call it pro bono, call it goodwill. The first one is a friend or a family. This gives you a chance to practice in a low pressure situation, right? You can really just tell them what you want to do and they're going to be cool with it, right? As long as it's reasonable. The next one is like a business in your neighborhood, your community, your town, right? Definitely want to get out there and be the best marketer in your town if possible. Get some notoriety that, hey, there's that digital marketer person. And then if you want to start dabbling with people who have a lot more traffic, get into a micro influencer, 5,000, 10,000 followers at least. I mean, I don't have a ton of followers, but I get 1,000 plus people visiting my website, and that's what you need, right? You can really sense and test things. A lot of these small local businesses, they might not get that kind of traffic. So what you implement won't impact as much. So I like those 3 sort of situations to try out. At this point, every single thing you do, you should be documenting it as your portfolio. Not every marketer needs a portfolio, and some portfolios look different. Sometimes it's picturesque. Sometimes it's more of like the next one, case study. It's more numbers based. It's like XYZ client came in with 2,000 visitors a month. We wrote 45 articles. We did some SEO optimization, and now they're getting 10,000 visitors a month, a 400% increase in less than 12 months. Right? So different kind of portfolios depending on the service you want, but you need to be documenting everything. If you have completed your pro bono clients, come up with your first paying client intro rate. What's the special offer you're going to do to get someone to pay for your services? Get it done. Have some special opportunity. Just blitz through it. Make it a $5,000 offer for only $500. First client only. And so that's one of the first major milestones, is that someone pays you $500. Not $100, not $300, $500. That's what I'm going to set. $500 client. You are not finished phase 3 until you can check off $500 client. You are just an apprentice. Until someone pays you, you are just an apprentice. That's fine, but that's what you are. Now, if you want to be a business owner or a freelancer, get that $500 client and move on to phase 4. Okay, I call this client acquisition. It could probably be called many different names, but it's just getting more clients who pay you. Okay, now that you've had the pro bono situation, now that you've worked with a $500 client, you have learned a lot already. I know it. You learned about how they react, how they paid, how long they took, the problems they had. You're working out the kinks, so optimize the offer. Get rid of that thing that was waste of time and didn't seem to help, and add more of what did help. You need to set up a lead generation process. Okay, a systematic approach, not a random approach. For some people, that's DMing people. For some people, that's cold email. For some people, that's making content. For some people, that might be live streaming, just like this. For some people, it might be running ads, doing influencer shout outs, something that gets a large amount of people to hear and see about something, and that they can opt in, and that becomes a lead. You might want some outreach, okay? Reaching out to people, speeding up the process, not just waiting for things to come to you. It's time to build out your network, build relationships with other professionals. This can lead to many referrals and partnerships. And you're going to want to think about those closing skills, those sales skills, being able to convince a potential client to hire you for $10,000 plus. Okay, so the next milestone is a $12,000 client. Very significant income milestone. It shows you're really getting ready to deliver mid to high value services. So it's not $12,000 up front. It's just $1,000 a month for a whole year. This is basic. This is very low for what's going on. But to the person who's never been a freelancer, this is magnificent. This is really wild for some people. Because I know for some of you, you're still going to have a job probably, and then this extra thousands coming in. It's blowing your mind. Okay, back to our Full Stack Marketer Lab cohort. This is another aspect that we can really help you accelerate. Like I said, we spend multiple weeks optimizing your offer. I teach you a very clean lead generation process and all the skills required there, teaching you how to outreach. Of course, in our community, you're always networking. Teach you a lot about sales and closing. I teach you a brilliant framework in my lab, a script that you can follow. Somebody recently closed a client by just copy pasting the script out of Notion, just like this, and they were pasting it into a chat window. And there you can literally just follow along. People will make deals with you. I can't explain that now. That's a lot to discuss. But what I'm saying is that we can help you learn closing in case that's new to you. Okay, so why do I understand this process so well? Because I did this. right? And now I've helped dozens and dozens of people go through this exact same thing, whether they were my friends or they were my students or academy members, whatnot. Knowing the escape and arrival is the sign of the authority, the expert. And so I designed my business around this process because to me, this is life's greatest process. If you achieve this checklist in your life, you're going to be very, very happy. How many times do you get that? Even in university, they don't provide you a checklist, even though they charge you $50,000. They can't even provide you with a career checklist easily. I don't recall it. I don't recall them breaking down each step because they make it so vague that you graduate and then just magically life is great, right? Let's get to phase 5. All right, you're making $1,000 a month from 3 clients now, $3K a month. Life is good. You're remote. That's where confidence really starts to kick in. Okay, when you can create income on your own without someone else, without a boss, you will change as a person because that is something 90% of people don't do or can do, right? Because you have to understand how cool it is that you can get started in digital marketing and make $1,000 a month maybe in 2 months from now. Whereas what if you wanted to start some kind of business like a coffee shop? It'd take you 6 months just to renovate your place and $150,000. And then how long would it take you to make a profit, figure things out, advertise yourself? Like, there just aren't a lot of businesses. And so the people don't even know about digital marketing. Obviously, they can't do it, but it's really exciting that we have a checklist to lead us to such confidence, to such capability. Okay, so unshakable confidence, really valuable point in your career where you're just going to speak stronger, more confidently, with ease. Now you're going to become a consultant. You're going to know so many things. The full stack is a natural consultant because you just seem to know everything. And it's like, huh, you know that too? So don't just charge for implementation. You want to start charging for strategy and your brain power. This is where you want to get into what's called pipeline overflow. Let's say you had 3 clients at 1,000. As soon as you can, you need to raise your price to 2,000. And then when a client leaves or you don't like a client, you try and replace it with a 2,000. Now you've got 2,000, a 1,000, and a 1,000, and you repeat, right? But the best way to be able to raise it up is to have people waiting for you or people really close to or people who just simply cannot crack your lineup because you're full, right? You can only take 3 to 5 clients and you're full, right? So when you tell them, oh, it's 3K a month, they're not going to be surprised because you're full. So we have a course for that in the academy. And it's all about cold email and how you can generate a lot more booked phone calls. It's a really detailed course. It's a text-based course. You can go through it with ease. So learn some of these additional skills and enhance your authority with our Academy Pro memberships. That's our all-in-one, all-access pass, $97 a month. You get every single thing we have inside the Academy, except for the lab. But there's a lot to go through there. Of course, that includes our private community and such. Final phase. Growth. You could probably say scale. You know, at this point, you're going to want to reorient yourself. You're going to want to make sure your direction is clear and you have a long-term plan for growth. Mission, vision, 5-year plan. Big, big value at this point. Not just trading time for money, not just doing a service for the sake of it, but where is this going? And for a lot of you, it may be to hire a small team to replace you. So you need to get into systemization, creating systems and processes. It's all about efficiency and trainability. If you can't show someone else how to do it, you're going to be stuck with it. And that might inform you on how you want to grow your business, which areas that you prefer. And that's the power of the full stack. As the industry evolves, you're capable to say, look, we better bet here. Looks like it's going to be the area to go, for the next 5 years, lead generation through this method or content creation through that method. Hiring, right? Just as natural as creating the SOP, the standardized operating procedure, and you're going to hire someone to go do that for you now, and you're going to level up your time. So, if you were working 30 hours a week and making, I don't know what, 10K, no, 4K a week, no, what would it be? 2K a week? I don't know. Let's say 2K a week, 40 hours a week. What is that? $40? No. $50 an hour? Then you want to hire someone who only charges $25 an hour, and then you go do things that make the business more money, and then you're worth more per hour. So just trading up your time, the value of your time, okay? Very important. But you don't have to, right? You can just raise your prices. Like, that's what artists would do. That's what the truly greats would do. Because if you're truly great and unique in signature, you might not be able to train someone else, especially if there's artistry involved in your work. You might just have to raise your price and be daring enough to go after bigger clients. Like, eventually Nike hires artists, right? Like, the biggest companies hire artistic people, creative people. And if that's where you're going, that's where you're going. You don't have to hire people. You have to know if that's for you. The cool thing is you can end up hiring people for different stuff that's not like your business. You could hire them to be your virtual assistant, your personal assistant, managing some other things in your life. So don't get one track minded. Be open to it. But if it's not for you, you know yourself, right? You might start advertising in your business now, because now you really are starting to understand what people want a lot more, what people have gravitated towards. You've sent all those cold emails, you've made certain posts. You're going to know what message resonated. And here comes the big milestone. $5,000 a month for 12 months. Significant, difficult, and not necessarily doable by yourself. When I was doing a $5,000 a month, 12-month gig, there was probably 3 other people that took a piece of that throughout that time. Maybe someone was there at the very beginning doing a big asset like a new website. Maybe later on someone was doing the content strategy and planning. You could drop this down a little bit. You'd be still doing really well if this said $3,000 or $4,000 a month, but $5,000 a month isn't insane when you're working with companies who are in the 9 figures. And so that leads you to believe that you probably have to get pretty specific about what you do, because if a company's in the 9 figures, they don't need a funnel consultant. They need a very specialist type person. And so that is one of the challenges, is that navigating yourself as a freelancer or a business owner at the different price points, and recognizing that as price points get higher, generalists may not be as in demand, because people have more money to hire for the individual roles. Whereas the lower end, they don't have enough money, so they're looking for one person who can wear many hats so they can save on that. Just one person's benefits, just one person's management, right? You might also be good enough to demand a revenue share. I think revenue share is slightly different than pay per lead, which are both performance based, but revenue share is a very big deal. It really is. So I put it near the end. Those are your final milestones as a freelancer. You're probably starting to break into either agency owner or growth partner consultancy at this point. So it takes 45 minutes to go through the digital marketing career path checklist and milestones. So we got a few people out there. Thanks for waiting. Well, I'm just going to give this to you guys right now. No opt-in needed. Just go ahead and, oh man, I'm not signed in over here. Wait, let me open up something else. Maybe I'll get someone to throw it in through Discord. Try and jump into YouTube. My stream is not logged into the chat, so I can't type anything as my user. I'm going to switch the screen. I'm going to come back into here. I'm going to pop this in my Discord, and somebody can grab it and post it in the YouTube chat. Let's take a look at what's going on in chat. Great. How can I see the participants? Well, not as easy, not as familiar. We'll get a hang of it. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Time management, does that belong on our list? Maybe as like basic productivity or something like that. Yeah, maybe that might be one. You're in the middle of phase 2. Great to hear it. Anyone else, let me know what phase you're in. I believe it takes having a real battle to fight to lead to a strong mindset. Analytics, that's a good one I did miss. Yes. I think, I was just thinking about analytics earlier today. And what I had said to myself was, it's a phase 2 skill. But we can put it in phase 1. It's not going to really matter. The reason why I left it off is because you don't really need to do much. Sure, getting really deep in data science and data analytics, yeah, that can take time. But anybody can just fire up Google Analytics and just say, okay, well, how many people came to my website? How many people are from mobile? Sure, maybe it's not as basic as I'm making it. It deserves to be on the list. I think what I was thinking was, it's not critical. It's not a critical base skill that leads into some of the other things, but it is naturally gained, especially when you enter funnels. Yeah, that's a perfect way to come up with a new offer. So someone's recommending, let's say you charge $1,000, charge $200, then $400, then $600, then $800. Yeah, absolutely. It's so simple like that, right? People are always like, well, how much should I charge? It doesn't really matter. But having a method like that really makes a lot of sense. I like that. If you've got any questions for me about digital marketing, let me know. I'm starting off today's stream with a very detailed sharing of my newest checklist. We had the Freelance roadmap, which is still on my website, which is a great decision tree, but it's not detailed enough. Offering a new service shortly so you appreciate the phase 3 progression. Perfect. Glad that you have some people in mind. Excellent. Oh, it looks like chats or links are not allowed. Okay, I'm going to try and sign in. Any questions out there? Let me know. We might not do a long stream. I'm really trying to get back into it. I wouldn't mind talking about some other stuff, though. I don't mind. I think the next thing I'd like to record right now and just put it down into the world is some information just about our academy and our lab. Someone's trying to do a content service simulation with me. So a lot of my students, I try to do service simulations with them. Meaning you're going to go and practice your service and I'm going to pretend to be your client and I'm going to give you some challenges along the way. Great. Glad you see the link. And I was answering questions, but I don't recall where I put the answers. And that's the troubling thing. Go get the checklist while I fire up what I'm looking for. And then I think probably next week we'll return to some regular Infinite Ascension material. I really just wanted to come on today and make sure everything's working. I need to find a way to take call-ins. Anyone want to recommend me a call-in method that they've seen on YouTube? I really want to be able to take call-ins, and I don't know the best way to do it. I'm wondering if like having a phone number is the best way. Okay, let me jump into just a little bit of, we'll call it promotional talk. But you know, a lot of people don't know about the new offers we have at Rich and Niche. Of course, you can go to my website, take a look. But I want to talk to you first about the Rich and Niche Academy, because this is something new I've launched in 2023. Just a few months ago, I got fed up with promoting multiple courses because I've created so many courses. I've helped people understand so many different topics, some of the best courses in the world on digital marketing, truly great theory, fundamental based courses, timeless. But you know, it just became too much to kind of have all these separate things to talk about. So I decided that the future really is going to be an all-in-one pass, everything I've ever created. I don't want to think about it. Now, unfortunately, that's not going to be cheap at first, especially. We may have some lower tiers in the future, but the first tier we have is $97 a month, and I believe it's worth every penny. And I'll just tell you right off the bat why that is. It comes with a free GHL sub account, which is $97 a month by itself. So if you're a digital marketer and you don't have GHL for your business, this is really a no-brainer. You're going to need GHL at some point. It's one of the best industry-leading marketing-based CRMs. So that's just right off the bat why this is such a crazy offer. But that's just GHL. That's a bonus. What does the Academy really include? Well, of course, like I said, all of my skill-building courses, quests, everything you need to learn digital marketing. You get to have access to our community Discord, which also includes all of the channels as an Academy member. So we have some private channels, things that are a little bit more higher end, intermediate to advanced, things about money and investing that I don't think absolute new beginners should be reading about. Of course, when you join my Academy, when you join my community, our community, it's 24/7 coaching and advice. There's always someone there to answer your questions, and primarily that's me. But as we've grown, I see more and more people jumping at the opportunity to help other people, give them real world guidance in real time. So whether that's a technical issue you have with your own business or your client, you can get that addressed right away. If you're struggling with a family issue, they don't want you to quit your job to become a freelancer. If you're struggling with something like that, you know, we get that all the time. We're always talking people through their action plans, their escape plans. I also have so many tools and templates, which I could be selling them for $10, $20 each, whatever it is. I can't really be bothered to do that. I'd really just give you everything I've ever created all in one place. And I don't know if you know this, but a few months ago, I created my own software called Crow, which is a conversion rate optimization wizard for marketers. You can find it at crow.io. I just finally fixed the domain, crow, CROWW.io. And that's just the beginning of what that tool is. It's a powerful auditing tool that helps you as a digital marketing consultant or freelancer prepare your projects, prepare your contracts. It's in its infancy. It's an MVP. You shouldn't have any expectations, but you should know that your usage of that tool will likely lead to how it gets developed. I like to say that we have 7-star mentorship and support. We'll just call it 5 stars to be fair. Unmatched guidance. I mean, if you're trying to accelerate your career, if you're trying to find yourself, if you can't just do it by watching YouTube videos. You need guidance. So you have level 10, Rich UX, and then you have all these other people that might just be 1 or 2 steps ahead of you. Might be more relatable. We will have weekly live calls like this, and you will have access to the replays. A lot of these replays will not be public or accessible. So if you come watch live, great. I'm willing to let you watch and be a part of it. That's fantastic. You're helping me. I'm helping you. But if you want to come back later and you're not part of the live show, you're going to have a membership to access the replay. We're going to try and put out 4 online courses before the end of the year. They're not going to be as long. Future online courses are going to be smaller, more precise, more specialized, more practical. So I feel like I've spent enough time in theory and foundations, and I really want to give very specific stuff. I'll have a ChatGPT course. I'll have a Mid-Journey course. We'll have a writing course of some kind. And it will all be packaged as well as the AI Marketing Masterclass. And you'll have all of that as a member. So you might as well lock in right now and be prepared to receive those over the next few months. But it's pretty much self-paced, right? That's the nice thing about it. For a reasonable price, you have access to a lot of materials, access to a lot of people, access to specialized tools and software. We're about to roll out our special members page on our website where you'll be featured as a member, and people will be able to see your personal profile, which will add SEO power to your name. You'll be able to link to your website. It will show your location, your hourly rate, your specialty. That'll be nice. So really my vision is to make the membership as powerful as possible, make it the most valuable membership you're a part of, to make this the community that you're a part of for the absolute longest in your life. You want to be a part of this community for 10 years, and it leads you to the most opportunities that you could ever imagine. Yes, you can go to the gym. Okay, you can have that membership and you can get some muscles. Okay, you can get a Netflix membership if you want. You can learn about all the upcoming shows if you want. You can get a community membership to, you know, maybe your YMCA or some local community groups, and that could be valuable. But none of those are going to help you level up your financial confidence, in my opinion. There's not a lot of places you can do that. I believe we have a special seed here. You know how Bitcoin is special and that it's so organic? Like, I've not forced or asked anyone to buy into this. So little. Everyone who chooses to come recognizes what it is, and I think that's so powerful. And that way there's a deep foundation to it all. There's a lot of members who seem to care a lot, which surprises me. Of course, I don't know these people. I don't know where they all came from. Apparently they watched videos I made. Well, that's wonderful. We want to create an environment that is fully supportive for that type of relationship, not necessarily like, hey, buy this latest course, just a one-off, see you later. Hey, get our Black Friday sale, see you later. I didn't do Black Friday for the last 2 years. I might do it this year because I waited, but I'm not interested in sales, to be honest. I'm interested in building a fantastic community, and I believe I've over-delivered on the price. I know it's not cheap. If you're from outside of America, if you're from a developing country, you can request an international discount. We do consider that. But if you join the academy, if you put in 4 to 8 hours every week, if you constantly go through all the materials, join the weekly calls, ask questions, you will not fail. You will get your first client within 6 to 12 months and hopefully many clients. I fully believe that. We have every resource you need. You have to be an action taker though. It's not a buy it and it happens. You have to be willing, like I said, to schedule the time in. I think it's not like we try to make it like a video game, but it's not nearly as fun sometimes to keep showing up, keep getting through the materials, keep skilling up, keep practicing. But I think sometimes we all sort of hit a wall and we say, you know what? There's no choice. What's my life going to be like in 10 years if I don't do this? Am I going to be future proof? Am I going to be confident in how the world looks? How many jobs is AI going to take? We don't know any of this. So the sooner you reach financial confidence, the sooner you can battle this world with ease, we'll call it, with grace, versus everything's against you, everything's terrible, everything's out of control, everything's chaotic. No grace. And you're going to age faster. So come learn the full stack at the Academy at Rich and Niche. Funnels, copywriting, conversion rate optimization, lead generation, email marketing, landing pages, analytics, content, Facebook ads, no-code web development, consulting, sales, closing skills. What can I say? I'm on a mission. I haven't deviated for many years. And I'm by no means rich from this project. This is certainly what is my ikigai, to teach in marketing, on the internet, through video. So if you're an aspiring digital marketer, content creator, brand builder, freelancer, consultant, agency owner, or business owner, this community is for you. If you are someone who's lazy and just wants to be a victim and doesn't take action, this won't do anything for you. Our Academy members have transitioned to remote work, have gotten their first clients, have earned their first remote dollars. They're gaining confidence like wildfire. And a lot of people say have big impact on their life and careers. Let's just go over right now while we're there and jump into the most recent success story. It's from Abhishek, this guy. Let's see what he says. See if we can zoom in here. He said, after returning back to India in January, I've been contemplating whether I should start offering my service to my local market in India. And finally, I decided that I should start selling my service to a local market, and I cracked my first client in my town. They are a coaching company. They make $250K a year. I'll be doing Content Maximizer and making Instagram Reels for them to begin with. Later, I'll help them build courses and sell online. And in the student admission season, I'll be running ad campaigns for them. And I've recently cracked a client in US for social media services, including Facebook ads. And I'm documenting my journey on YouTube as well. Congratulations, Abhishek. I recently interviewed him after I read this. I said, you know what? Just get on right now. I'm going to interview you. I'll release that hopefully soon. Here's another one. Let's do this one too. Guys, just landed my first client. That's all I'm going to say. Like, he's got a long way to go, but wouldn't you like to land your first client? You know? What else we got here? Hello, hustlers. I want to tell you guys I've closed a client for landing page, sales page design and development. I already received 50% advance. Thank you. Rich's sales framework helped a lot. Of course it did. It took 5 years to make it. Hey guys, we're doing stuff and we're just getting started. I mean, I had the craziest year last year. I went to Mexico for 6 months. I went to Eastern Europe for 6 months. I visited Serbia, Croatia, Bosnia, Macedonia, Greece. I launched the Full Stack Marketer Lab while I was abroad. I've run 5 cohorts in less than 2 years. We're nearing 1,000 paid students across, all courses, I guess. We have, close to 50 active people every day, chatting, talking, sometimes more, depends. It's been quiet lately. It's the summer. It's the peak of the summer. No, don't worry if it's quiet. Please enjoy your time because you got a lot of hustling to do Did y'all see the interest rate? It hasn't gone down yet. You got hustling to do because you can't borrow. Rounding out 70 minutes here, I talked about the academy. Should I talk about the lab? I think I'm supposed to, right? Because I'm supposed to help this person have all this material. And by answering the questions here on the stream, I'm just making my life so easy. Well, let's try. So the academy is the self-paced option at Rich and Niche. The guided option is the lab, the full stack marketer lab. It's now a 20-week cohort, meaning you'll be joining about 10 to 12 other students all together doing the same thing at the same time for 20 weeks. I meet with you every week for 2 hours and train you intensively on exactly what you need to know to start your location independent business in 6 months or less. That's how long the program is. 20 weeks with me. And for those of you who select the option, you can also do the service simulation. The main purpose of the lab is to verify that you have the skills and give you confidence. There may be some redundancy for certain people, but you'll feel confident leaving that and that you're ready. And then we spend the majority of the program building your business. So the first thing is, what are you going to offer? How are you going to offer it? What's your website going to be? Setting all that up, your logo, your business front, getting that going, and then teaching you lead generation and sales and project management. Takes 20 weeks. It's intense. There's homework every week up to 4 hours. You don't have to read a lot of books. There will be some campaign development exercises, group exercises, writing exercises. There'll be AI exercises. You'll build multiple funnels. You'll create over 50 pieces of content. You'll walk away with a portfolio. What are the students really guaranteed? All I can say is massive competence. I cannot force you to go get clients. I can't. I hope many do, but I can't guarantee you get it unless you choose the higher end tiers where I'm a lot more involved. But there's a lot of people who buy the lab and they actually don't come. They just want to watch the replays. They don't want to be part of the cohort. They just want the advanced materials. I can't promise that person gets a client. So we don't really promise that. I promise your business will be up and running and you'll be ready to take a client, but you will have to go out and find them and close them. Now, we have a strategy on how to do that, but you're going to have to do that. And some people think, oh, I thought this was all just like I get to hide behind my computer, and it's not. We have accountability coaches if you fall behind. We have Discord and community elements, typically accountability partners within the program. So as long as you show up each week, you're not going to fall behind. Nothing is crazily difficult. Recently, as far as what have some of the successful students done, I mean, a lot of those students I just showed you are ex-lab students. I mean, the lab students accelerate far faster than academy, but I think academy students will tell you, like, for the price, it's unbelievable what you get, and you can still make incredible progress. But in my cohort 4, I had a student who said they had closed 4 clients during the program, starting at $1,800 all the way up to, I believe, $3,000 a month, doing content-based packages for restaurants. He was a bit of a photographer type person and decided to translate those skills into marketing content. That's all I really know. I'm waiting to interview him. I think that when you leave the program, you'll be able to navigate a project pretty well. No matter what happens, you will be ready to navigate surprises, technical issues. You'll be ready to talk to clients who might be strangers. You'll be ready. And after the program, you're supposed to go really hard at lead generation. Not everyone does. I have yet to have someone tell me, maybe they just don't tell me, but no one ever told me there's a program that's better than mine. A lot of people tell me my program is better than the other ones. But and you know, why is that? Because I don't copy. I try to think on my own. I try to be in my own like belief system. And I think it just comes out high quality and authentic. I don't know. I'm still discovering. The lab has a price of, I believe, for the next cohort, $2,000 at the lowest ticket. That's really unbelievable because that's just $100 a week. There's a bunch of bonuses and other things you get. You get a 6-month academy pass. You know, it's really reasonable. I've looked at other programs out there and I chose that price point to make it highly accessible. Now, that doesn't include the service simulation. That doesn't include the 6-month follow-up support. I believe that will be in the $3,200 price point. So after the 20-week lab, 3 to 4 week service simulation, 6-month career support, any questions you have along the way, I'm there to support you. There's probably some other things. I think we give you 500 leads. So as soon as you're done the program, you get a list of 500 leads that are targeted to the people you told me you want to target. They're not just random. Helps you get going right away. And we have a $10,000 tier now. So we have $10,000 tier 3. It's been very successful. People choose that because we basically do your website, and a lot of the advice and consulting just removes a lot of the decision making. You just get my max expertise. You're going to be meeting with me privately as well as doing the cohorts. You're going to get some fantastic looking materials. I'm going to be writing your copy. So it's almost as if you and me are kind of going into business together in a way. You're getting the best marketer to market you. Why did I create the lab? Because what we're teaching is hard, and you can't do it just by yourself if you also want to go fast and remove failure. If you're just having fun with it and you're going to try out coding and marketing and sales and you're just going to try it out, then try it out. But if you know digital marketing's for you, and if you know full stacks for you, if you know remote income's for you, the lab is for you. And the lab students get crazy opportunities because once you do your service simulation with me, 2 things will happen. I might hire you, or I'll try to get other people to hire you. It's that simple. If I don't know your service, I haven't seen your service, I can't help you optimize it, I'm not going to help you with it that much, right? What can I do, right? What is it like having me as your mentor or teacher? I'd say pretty good. I think I'm tough on people and they like it, but I'm never mean. I'm never that harsh, but I am quite tough on people, and I like them to smarten up a little bit and pick it up. I think professionalism is a needed thing for some people that are going into this. They may not be aware of it. So I'm not afraid to kind of just say, look, stop doing that. You know, that's not right. But I think people like it. I haven't had too much negative feedback. You can check out my reviews at richanish.com/reviews if you want to know a bit more about me. A lot of people writing about me there. And I believe I've answered all the questions that my content marketer had. So I hope that was helpful, Frankie. Looks like we are at the 75-minute mark, and I'm happy to take any questions. I'm trying to make a comeback, guys. I know I've been out of it, and that's because I have 2 young children, and being a father is slightly superior to being a YouTuber. So, you know, life is really difficult when you have young children. So I have a newborn and a 3-year-old, and those are both very difficult times. I spend a lot of time with my 3-year-old. We spend a lot of time outside. We go to the driving range. We go to the park. We play baseball outside. We work in the garden together. We're always playing around. But it's really hard for me to work at night. When he goes to bed, I try to go to bed. So there's not a lot of night shift. The daytime, it's tough. I find I can maybe squeeze 3 hours, but it's always broken up. It's rarely deep work. I'm struggling with deep work right now. So I have all these videos and visions that I want to get to, but I just haven't found a lot of time. And so I started trying to wake up at 5:45, and that's working pretty well. But in the summer and with a baby, it feels like the kids and family is up by 6:45, 7. So it's like to get up that early to get just one quiet hour when you're still just trying to wake up sometimes is difficult. So let's talk about children just for a moment. They're so important. I spoke to you in Infinite Ascension last week. I know many of you probably haven't seen that replay, but we do this for the children. We work hard for children. Maybe not everyone's on that mindset. Maybe not everyone's tapped into the power of generational wealth, of family building, of family first methodology. And I'm talking about your primary family, not your cousins. I mean, cousins are cool. I like my cousins. I'm not against my cousins. I'm just saying it's you and your private family. It's you and your wife. It's you and your husband. It's you and your kids. And the world is in a state of war. I mean, don't forget that. And don't just think it's one kind of war. There's multiple wars on the fronts. There's war of information. There's war of drugs. There's war in guns. There's war of food. There's war of corporation. There's war of censorship. Like, there's a lot of different battles being fought, and so that's why it's really important to be tapped into your children and managing their lives and protecting them from a lot of the foolishness that they can get attached to. And that's the thing, is that when the money of life is going up, you have to be able to match that as a man. And if you're here as a woman, good for you. But primarily as men, we need to be ready to match the times. I think our fathers and our grandfathers, they don't know such a thing. If your father or grandfather's an entrepreneur, lucky for you if they've even passed anything down to you. I got zero. They weren't entrepreneurs, or my grandpa might have been, but he never passed anything down to me. So, when people just had to focus on their jobs, it's just a completely different mindset. And it's like, well, I can't raise anything. I can't increase I'm going to get a raise of 2%. That's it, So, yeah, you really have to understand right now that you need a lifestyle design, a career design that's going to allow you to navigate the coming times that are going to be financially challenging. And if you want to have children, double it and then take away all your time. It's unbelievable how much time is erased with children. It's not a negative thing. It's just so surprising that you're without children and you think, wow, I'm so busy. It's like, it's a laughing stock. To think you're busy without children, it's just a joke. But that's what people convince themselves. And I don't want to be judgmental or anything. I just find that very humorous. And it was in my own experience that I observed, wow, that time, how much did I waste just not realizing what I had? Nonetheless, here we are today trying to make a comeback on YouTube, as I was saying, like, how do I find the time for the deep work? And I'm going to have to just make some changes. I'm going to have to let go of certain things. I'm going to have to sacrifice certain ideas that I believe in. But look, my kids are going to be entrepreneurs. My kids are going to be digital marketers. My kids are going to be building brands online. Like, if that is the state of the world, that's what they're going to be doing. They're not going to be getting a college degree. I don't see that in their pathway. So I'm just going to start working on the things for them that I see as valuable now. Learning, studying. To me, you got to be a team with your kids. It's you got to treat them as adults as early as possible. It's all tricky, guys. What do I know? What do I really know? Not a lot. Let's take a look at the chat. Parenthood is the best hood. Mom of 4. Well, congratulations. How lucky for you. 4. That's incredible. My goodness. Will you homeschool? Absolutely. We call it unschooling. So unschooling is the new thing. It's going to be very difficult. It's very time consuming. Unschooling is a version of homeschooling where you don't really focus on curriculum. You sort of take the approach that let children tell you what they're interested in and use that to foster an educational experience. If your child is interested in trucks, focus on the colors of the trucks. If your child is interested in numbers, how can you play a game where there's numbers? You know, it's that simple. But it's a very flexible approach. It's a very observe and see. And it's about not pushing kids into any one direction. It's trying to step back from maybe the tiger mom, the obsessive parent. But look, like I said, just because I'm unschooling doesn't mean I don't try to breed a champion. I encourage excellence, and I'm also very lenient. I don't believe at this age, it's time to train. I believe discipline is important and we do strive for behavior, but like I take my kid to the driving range 3 to 4, sometimes 7 times a week. I just let him hit 20 to 40 balls and we're gone. I don't say a single thing. I don't try and do one thing. Maybe I hit 2 or 3 and that's it. I don't force golf on him, because I don't care. I mean, would I like him to play golf? Sure, I like golf. Great. But it doesn't really bother me, but if they like it, well, then you have to kind of figure out a way to foster it, So, yeah, I think it's all in alignment, right? Like you work remotely so that you can enjoy your life and maximize your financial benefits. Primarily, I'm talking about tax residencies, things like that. I'm sorry for Americans who don't get some of the same benefits, but owning your own business is a tax strategy to begin with, right? If you bought a new iPhone this year, if you bought a new MacBook this year, if you took an educational course this year, if you bought my course, if you don't have a business, you pay the full price on all those items. If you have a business, you put those items through your business. If you made money, you won't pay tax on that money in equivalence to what you spent, right? So if you made $10,000 and you have $10,000 of electronics that you bought that you would naturally buy anyways, new computer, iPad, iPhone, whatever, 4K, whatever that is, like, okay, if you made 10K and the iPhone stuff cost you 4K, you only pay tax on the 6K. If you didn't have a business, you pay the price of those items, but you just pay the maximum tax on your salary. So starting a business is the first step to gaining some of these advantages. And ownership is where all the advantages are in life. So I think it's very interesting when we see a little self-censorship. It's look, there's organizations who don't believe you're going to own very many things one day. And I can see why that is. Because it's expensive. It's hard to maintain things. People prefer to rent. People prefer to lease. People prefer to use a little bit and then not have it. People don't want to pay for storage. I get that. And I sometimes suspect that that's why we should try and do the opposite. That we should do everything in our possibilities to own whatever we can. And if I was you, I would look at the real estate in my region, and if it's viable, I would consider owning real estate. But what I observed as I was born in Canada is it's not viable. You can't just invest in a condo anymore and have that cash flow. Plus, it turned out a lot of condos were really crappy and needed tons of maintenance costs. So real estate in the physical form may not be something you can own. So what are your options? Let's see it in the chat. What are some options of things you could own instead of, well, it's not necessarily rent, but what are some good things that you should own if you can't get real estate? What else could you get? This is a financial IQ question. You can't buy real estate for whatever reason. What other vehicles could you consider And the reason I'm bringing up is because I told you that there's organizations who don't want you to own or don't think you will own. And then we have companies like BlackRock who's seemingly buying up all the property, which I don't understand why. They just talked about a Bitcoin ETF. Are they going to buy all the Bitcoin too? Okay, so that's one thing you can own, Bitcoin. That's the only coin I recommend for most people. Bitcoin is an incredible finite resource which will hold its value. I'm pretty confident. I bet most of my life on it. The majority of my net worth is related to Bitcoin, and it's been a very difficult 2-3 years. It's been very difficult. But as you just saw, I believe JP Morgan, or who was it, put out an analysis recommending 84% exposure to Bitcoin in your portfolio based on its past history. So just so you know, when Bitcoin gets to 100K, like, your buddy Rich will be all right. If it ever gets there. I believe it will. I believe we're on the verge of a bull run. I would love to look at some charts. I haven't looked at charts with my audience for a long time, and I do think there's a couple interesting things to look at. The timing of certain things that we're in right now, maybe we will. Let's see what's going on in the chat before I jump into any charts. Which program would you recommend for someone already familiar? Well, even if you're familiar, my masterclass has so many unique insights that are nowhere else online. Very hard to find. It really depends on your goal. Like, if you haven't achieved freelance and that's what you want to do, I mean, you do have to consider taking the lab. If you just want to dabble in a few skills and you want to reap the benefits of a network, get some cool software and invest in yourself through community experience, Academy will do just fine. We do have a shop where you can buy individual courses, but most people get the masterclass bundle because it's a crazy deal. I never increase the prices of my courses with inflation, by the way. Okay, the Bitcoin chart looms. We need to get off some of these indicators. Let's go full screen. Price today, 29,842. It's been a strong last 24 hours from what I've observed. Let's just clear all the indicators. How do we hide all the indicators? Well, one thing we can always do is switch it to a monthly chart, and I really like doing this. When you switch a financial chart into the monthly, you get the big picture. Each bar on the screen represents 1 month. That green line in the middle is something you'd call a trend line. Now, it is a little bit concerning that we are technically below the trend line. And sometimes lines like that can act as resistance or sort of pressure from people who want to sell. These lines, these technical analysis indicators, are these strange things that people use, and they sort of become self-prophesizing, self-fulfilling prophecies. So I'm not sure about Bitcoin. I do think we're on the verge of one of these hyper run-ups because of the timing. It comes every so often. We may be on the verge of that. I'll try to find another chart momentarily while we continue to look at this. Another interesting chart to always be aware of is Bitcoin dominance. So what percentage of the crypto market is Bitcoin? And right now it's precisely 50%. I think that's interesting. But if we ever see movements here, if we see a movement down, it means that the alternative coins, things like Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, Avalanche, those will be growing versus Bitcoin. Bitcoin used to have incredible dominance up here around the 100% when it's all that was. But over time, this chart to me doesn't say a lot. What it does say to me though is, look, we could see a dip in Bitcoin dominance, meaning altcoins rise. But what I'm seeing here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost 6 touches of this yellow line. To me, I really see it acting more as a floor. And I would probably expect to see this go up here like this. Never up back to 100%. And that's also a tricky part of this stat. There's always new cryptos coming in and changing sort of the ratio of this. When you get something like this is when you can kind of connect a few of the lines and it kind of forms like a pennant. And what that really means is that, look, this stock or this coin is either, or this chart is either going to break this trend line or it's going to break this trend line, but it's not going to stay in here for much longer. So either we're going to see Bitcoin rise or we're going to see a drop in Bitcoin and we could see a run in some of the other coins. But this is just dominance. This is not the Bitcoin price. It's important to know Bitcoin dominance because, well, it's so important, Bitcoin. That's all I can say. I can't explain it to you. Do your own research. Chainlink is something I've talked about in the past, and it's about the same price as when I was talking about it before. This has got to be one of the weirdest charts I've ever seen. If we move this back to the daily chart, I mean, just look how long this chart has been in this like zone. Like, it's been in this tight little zone for so long. And it's kind of tried to fake us out multiple times. See how it keeps coming back to the lines? The price keeps fluctuating to the lines and back. Because that's what I mean. The lines are self-fulfilling prophecies. People know everyone else is looking at the lines, so they try to set their plays based on those lines. So let's say I think that Chainlink is going to come down here and then bounce here again, but then this time it's going to go boom like that. It's going to break out. That's what we'd say, right? A lot of times what would actually happen in real life, right? Because if this is what I believe, what I can do is I can come in here and I can put what's called a stop loss, right? And I can set my stop loss at like about $5.30. Because I'm saying, oh, look, it never goes below this line. Look how it respects the line. But even right here, look at this right here. It dipped below the line right before it shot up hard to go the other way. Because people know that other people use the lines. Therefore, they set their bids and stop losses based on the lines. Because what you're saying is, look, this price channel has held up for months. If it dips below here, it's serious. We got to take a close look at that. And so what happens is it dips below. Everyone freaks out, starts selling. Some people have to sell off because they are on margin. And that's what leads to a big price run up, because that's the liquidity needed. You need some people to lose in order for some people to gain. And so you have these fake out light experiences. So when you're new to investing, you might start learning technical analysis, and then you place a trade or you invest in something and it goes down below the line and you sell out of fear, right? And so that's why the best time to buy, say what we're looking at here, Chainlink, could be maybe right here. That might be a really great place to buy, and set the stop loss maybe right here. If it goes down, we lose 10%, but if it comes back up to the channel here, we're going to get what? Almost a 30 to 40% increase. A little swing trade, you'd call it, a little trend ride. So that's what people do, right? So everyone in the middle here, they're not paying attention to these lines, because when you buy in the middle, you don't know which way you're going to go necessarily. And you could lose down as much as you lose up, right? Because when you play with the lines, you're kind of saying, look, if it goes below line, I'm just going to get out right away. I'm going to cut my losses. But I'm going to assume this comes back up and the trend remains or the channel remains. And that's so why when we say it's a breakout, it's a big deal. A breakout is changing the trend. It's a big deal. Not going to really focus on too many individual charts. This is the Ethereum chart. Like just imagine you can't see any of this. Imagine this is all blacked out, right? Like, can I cover that somehow? I don't know if I can do that. But imagine like you saw this purple line right here. And then on this day here, it broke out underneath the trend line and went here. You should be pretty scared because this trend is now broken. And so we're likely to come down and build out a new channel. And so it came all the way down here to 887. If on this day right here, you had said, look, the trend is broken. Let's get out at 3,800. Think of how much better you'd off be than waiting all the way down here at 900. And people down here, they were still scared that it was going to go down here. So they sold right here. And now all the people who bought right here are already rich. They've already doubled their money in less than a year. So if you don't understand these things, you can't even begin to play. You're going to get crushed. I'm not even good. Okay, I don't even play that heavily. I buy and hold. I buy and hold. They like to say, time in the market rather than trying to time the market. Let me show you if I can just, instead of looking at individual charts, which is not what I want to do, I want to just look at some other analysis about Bitcoin and why we could be very close to the next big run. So if you haven't bought any Bitcoin yet, zero, and you have money in the bank, I would convert at least 10% of it into Bitcoin right now. I think now is a great time. The worst case, you lose half of it. Worst case, not even likely to happen. The best case, you could turn, let's say you bought 3K today, that's 0.1 of a Bitcoin. In 15 years, you could have $1.5 million. I don't know, that's viable. I see Bitcoin reaching 8 figures and eventually infinite. Like, I don't know how that really works yet because we've never really seen that in life. We've never really seen a truly finite commodity like Bitcoin. Like, you understand that gold is not finite. We can just mine more. Okay? Damn, I can't find what I wanted to show. I'll try to look it up in the list. I thought I had bookmarked some of these. What is that? There it is. Okay, plan B. Okay. I find a lot of good advice from this guy. Now, some people don't like him because he was wrong recently. He's the creator of the stock to flow model. Okay, so he said we should have reached 100K Bitcoin already, but then he said that the model's not broken. But let's see if I can find some interesting charts. Okay, did you guys hear that PayPal launched a stable coin? That's big news. That's big news. Okay, I'm not seeing anything here. I'm just gonna go search Bitcoin, halving, look for top charts. Okay, here's someone saying, you know, they're predicting a rise to 93K in 2025, but they're first predicting a drop to 20K. A lot of people have discussed that. And sort of what it is a bigger version of what I was talking about. Like, in order for us to get this kind of crazy price appreciation, we're going to need to see price get pretty low so that those people who want to go hard can lock in. So we're looking for more evidence that something like this could be true, because that's just an opinion. That's just a prediction. That's not really something. But this is kind of what I like. I like these kind of things. Okay, so there's the chart in the middle. And these halvings represent the difficulty adjustment. How much Bitcoin will be released at this time, and it cuts in half. So the amount of Bitcoin coming out into the market is reduced by 50%. So I don't know if you guys were here for all this. I wasn't really paying attention in 2012 because look, it only went up to 20 bucks. I wasn't paying attention to Bitcoin. Didn't have any money at that time either. And maybe you don't today either, but I was still slowly educating maybe around here. But basically you can see a pattern that after the halving, there is a peak. I don't have time to explain why that is today. But what they're saying is that the all-time high comes 90 days after halving. In this one, it came 240 days after. In this one, it came 220 days after. What would your guess be for this one? We don't know. But what will the all-time high be? And you look at this chart. This is what's called a logarithmic chart. See how the price gets up higher and higher and it gets crazy? Because as the price gets higher, the percentage base moves adjust. But a chart like this puts them all relative to each other in the same size. So in an exponential chart like this, the next peak, doesn't it look like it would go somewhere like around here? Like, note how far the peak goes from the previous peak. So here's the previous peak. Don't you think it's going to get up to here somewhere? And that's $590,000 per Bitcoin. That's 20 times the price it is today. So if you put 2K in today, you might have 40K in a few months. I don't know. It could happen. I don't promise it happening, but do you believe the world's greatest money, programmatic money, the hardest money ever created, do you believe this pattern is fake? It could be. It could be false. Could be manipulated. Could be. But I'll tell you how I perceive it. I think some things are just phenomenons, and you can't stop it sometimes. I think Bitcoin might be one of those things. Why is my net worth into Bitcoin? Because I believe in this. And you know what? If I'm wrong, what I lose today would not destroy my life probably. I could probably start all over again. But if I'm right, if many of us are right, we're going to heaven. We're going to Valhalla. We're going to make it. We're going to be there. The saying, we're all going to make it. We got to be invested, and it's been so painful to ride this trough. And there were days where it's like, wow, could this get worse? Like, do we need to sell? And there's days when it's like, it's over. This is the end of Bitcoin, right? That always happens. There's always people saying it's over right before it's not. We should look up the psychological graph. Let's find that one. Stock trading psychological graph. Yep, here it is. Bringing it up in a moment. It's going very slow. Well, I'll just bring this over for now. Can we get this bigger, please? Come on, guys. Let's get this bigger. Come on. Okay, this isn't bad. This isn't bad. Try to ignore this "we are here," though. How about this one? Can't seem to make it bigger. Sorry, everyone. Let me try another one. Okay, this one's better. It doesn't have any markups. This is always happening in life. There's an incredible euphoric run-up. I'll never forget in 2021 when our member Anastasia said, "Wow, I feel rich." It was literally the week after that the Bitcoin started crashing down, because that's exactly what happens, is that everybody thinks they're going to be rich. They think it's never going to stop. And that's exactly when it stops. When everyone is all in, there's no one left to buy. The run up is because there's still people chasing. At the end, there was no one left. But what happens is it bounces back and people think it's going to keep going. It's just a pullback. But suddenly things can go wrong, and you'll notice the market always goes down way faster than when it goes up. People panic. Then we have what's called capitulation, where they have to exit. They lose the money, they could be ruined somehow. And then they get mad and depressed. And the next time it rallies up, no one believes it. And that's exactly when it goes up. When people forget about it, they don't believe in it, they don't care about it. So you probably notice, like, Bitcoin's not really in the news that much right now, right? Bitcoin's not really in the news right now. And just take a look at the chart. Take a look at the chart. Let's go back to the monthly chart. Where are we on this chart? Where are we on this chart? Right? We've had the euphoric run-up, complacency, depression, panic, capitulation, anger. Now where are we? Are we in disbelief? Or is this the start of the next run? Because going back to this, maybe we're right here still. Maybe we're right here. We don't know. No one knows. But you can put the pieces together. Try and have some sense of where we're at with all this. Let's see if I can find anything else of interest. You know, you can use additional tools like this, the relative strength index. Again, it's a pattern that's based on the chart, okay? So down here, I also have the relative strength index, this down here. You can see when Bitcoin is peaking, the relative strength means this is so much hotter than everything else. It's moving faster and going up faster than everything else. And when it gets this high, you can see how high it is up here on the chart. The crash comes next because it has to come back down. Everything has to come back. Everything is a reversion to the mean. Nothing can be extreme for too long. A lot of people trade based on opposition. They see a big move, they just go the opposite way. They know it's going to eventually come back. Nothing goes straight up. And unless you went bankrupt, not a lot goes straight down. Even take a look at the COVID crisis month. March 2020. Look at how far the market went down and people were so scared. It went right back up a month later. And it went on to an all-time high. You have to have these big, scary drops to create the liquidity and momentum to move higher. So don't be afraid. Get your money ready. I don't know if there's going to be a big drop. We could see something like this. We could see something like this. And you never get in. You're sitting here waiting. And I think that could happen. Well, everyone thinks we're going to a recession. Everyone's waiting for the worst. I don't know. But I will tell you this. These bars right here in the middle, they indicate volume. I don't see a lot of volume, meaning there may not be a lot of interest. Suggests to me the next big move is like a country announces they've bought Bitcoin. A huge company like Apple announces they've bought Bitcoin. I think that could trigger the next bull run. Would love to hear what you guys think about it in the chat. I haven't talked crypto for a while. You know, I try not to talk crypto, especially on the down market, because I'm not a crypto person, first of all. And I just don't want people to lose money. And I believe that you do need to do quite a bit of research. It's not just a click and win. It's not a slot machine. It's hard. There are experts out there trying to beat you. It's a zero-sum game. There are people out there who are using extremely fast computers, using extremely complex algorithms. And then you're also playing against all the people who run these scam discords and pump and dump schemes where they'll buy very low volume coins and pump it up themselves and then dump it. We're in an unregulated time, and so there's good and bad. A lot of times it can get really bad before it gets good because it's the badness that triggers the need for regulation. So last year we saw what? The fraud in the FTX scenario. Very, very bad. Very, 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 very bad. Regulation may be needed. A lot of people lost their money. Their money was stolen. Sam Bankman-Fried should be in prison. Doesn't make sense. Teaches you you're playing a rigged game. Rigged games are hard to beat. And that's why it's sometimes just better to buy and hold, because you can't beat people in the short term easily. You're guessing. There are tools you can buy. There are groups you can join, but we're not going to get into that today. I think it is silly not to hold any Bitcoin. I think in order to start holding 50% of your net worth in such asset, you'd better do your research. You can go read the book called The Bitcoin Standard. That is the starting point. You might also want to read The Sovereign Individual. I've mentioned the word sovereignty on the show before. The value of it is immense. Don't see a lot of chit chat going on. Hopefully you're entertained. Hopefully you've been enjoying it. But I think I've got to bring this stream to an end. I think I'm going to leave this stream up. But as I get back into it, they're not all going to be available. They will be posted up into my academy. And I think we're going to start a channel membership. Have a few perks. Not going to be expensive at all. Just in case you want replays. Yeah, you can get into a REIT, digital real estate, absolutely. Stocks and shares, yeah. Dividends, why not? But here's the trouble. Here's the final thing I'm going to leave you on. If Bitcoin is as great as we think, people will sell everything else to buy Bitcoin. If it's clearly the number one asset, people will sell everything else to buy Bitcoin. Let's see if I can find a Michael Saylor chart that he often posts to show you that Bitcoin is clearly the number one asset. Here. This isn't exactly it, but it's showing you that their company, MicroStrategy, outperformed everything else since they adopted a Bitcoin strategy. The value of their stock is even more than these other big, massive companies. There's better charts though. Let's see. Here. Ignore this. Since August 10, 2020, Bitcoin's up 151%. Stocks are only up 34%. So yeah, why would you buy stocks and shares? Like, I agree, dividend stocks and shares are probably pretty good. But why would you buy it when you can buy Bitcoin? I don't see, I'm trying to understand why someone would do that. Okay, diversification. Well, why would you diversify away from the best asset to mediocre assets? Diversification is when there is clearly uncertainty. There hasn't been any uncertainty yet. That's a tricky thing. Eventually, everyone kind of capitulates into Bitcoin. Eventually, They like to say you get Bitcoin at the price you deserve, because until you educate yourself about it, it's really hard to understand what it is. Here's a little video. Beautiful chart. It's just showing you that the Argentine peso has become worth 0.1% of the same amount of Bitcoin over the last 7 years. It's lost nearly 1,000 percentage points of its value. Even the S&P, even US real estate, even US dollar are losing value against Bitcoin. People think volatility is bad. It's what it would look like if you were going through a high inflation environment. Okay, when Germany was going through inflation, where is that one chart? Let's try volatility. Unfortunately, I can't find the chart I'm thinking about. Germany inflation chart, volatile. Maybe it wasn't Germany. Maybe that's the mistake I'm making. I must be making a mistake of what I'm trying to remember, but essentially that in the final years of hyperinflation, it got extremely confusing about the value of money. It would change so much. And I think we're seeing something. Here it is. Weimar Germany. The gold price. See gold versus the German mark. See how crazy it was going up and down? I think that's what happens as you enter hyperinflation. So, do we get something similar with Bitcoin eventually, right? Like people would call this too up and down. This is too up and down for them, right? They can't handle it. They say volatility, I can't handle it. And yeah, it was painful, this drawdown. You see your wealth, your net worth just crumbling before your eyes. But you know what you don't see crumbling? The amount of Bitcoin you hold. You hold the same amount of Bitcoin as you did when you started. Yes, it's worth a different amount of US dollars today. One day that may not matter. One day US dollar may be irrelevant. Right? So don't fear the volatility. Time in the market over timing the market. Definitely consider some of the technical analysis. Just don't get caught off guard. I think there's going to be a lot of change over the next few years, immense change. I think AI is going to be extremely disruptive. That's why I do these calls, to try and update you with the most important information in the world, using my LCD screens, my multi-screen investment tools. I've got my AI LLMs running here in the background. I will deliver you the most important, curated, highest quality news, information related to you and your career. I mean, that's what I would like to get into. I would like to get my time back. I like to get out of this phase of, infant raising. I love my children, but I'm not good at raising an infant compared to some of the other things I can do. So hopefully I'll be back to that. And we can talk about other things. We can go deeper. I think I'm going to get into really helping people earn their first dollar. I think that's an important series to work on. Getting people out of the inertia, getting people unstuck. I think I've helped a lot of people who've already earned their first dollar sort of go into like a more sustainable business, but there's so many people who we can help break free. Even if we can just start you off with a side hustle, that would be pretty valuable, don't you think? Good night, farewell, see you. Hope you guys enjoyed today's stream. I'm going to call it there, 2 hours with you. It was Infinite Ascension. It is Tuesday, but it really was just a Rich and Niche show. I think Infinite Ascension is a subset of the Rich and Niche show. The Rich and Niche show is meant to help you with digital marketing, brand building, and online business from A to Z. That's what I'm here for. Infinite Ascension is a segment where we'll cover the absolute most cutting edge tools, technologies, techniques. I've already been covering GPT, Midjourney, and many other tools in my private community, and now I'm happy to bring it to YouTube in a live format. And I will make it available that you can get all the replays through YouTube or through the Academy. And I'll put out highlights of the best clips, things that people seem to resonate with the most. Hope you gave this video a like. Did we get to 25 likes? I'll have to check it out. 11, not quite, my friends. Keep hustling out there. You can do better next time. Tomorrow's another day. Stay ahead. Stay valuable. May the algorithms